What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, continuing my deep dive into the Grateful Dead's officially released live shows, currently in 1973, currently delving into the Here Comes Sunshine 1973 box set. Today I'm going to talk about, review, rant, and rave about, as I do every other 73 show release, the second show in this box set, May 20th, 1973. I'm going to talk about this show, and then I will rank it among the other 73 shows that I've already talked about on this channel, which at this point is a lot of them. I think 14 I've done so far. This will be number 15. But yeah, we have May 20th, 1973. Santa Barbara, California, at the University of California, Santa Barbara Stadium. It is, for the most part, your typical 73 show. The set lists look pretty typically 73. Of the shows in the Here Comes Sunshine box set particularly, this is the one that doesn't have that one unique song in the set list, either like a first set song that they don't do that often, or something in the second set that maybe Donna sings or something like that. This is the most straightforward of these, at least in this box set, and kind of for the most part, a lot of the stuff that's been released from 73. It's just your standard, high quality, sounds amazing. Jerry's bringing it. Keith is pretty present, which is always good. You know, Phil's doing his thing. Bill is as fantastic as always. Bob has his high shining moments. It is just a solid 73 listen. 3 sets. Each set gets its own CD. The encore fits on the same CD as set 3, so we don't have any weird peculiarities about like making songs fit on discs and taking things out of order. So these 3 shows solidly fit 1, 2, 3 discs in a row. The very first set, disc 1, you really just get a whole bunch of like your normal first set stuff. The 2 sort of jammy experimental songs. You get a China Cat Rider, which has that Feeling Groovy jam in the middle, pretty straightforward version of that. And then you close the set with a pretty straightforward yet always satisfying playing in the band. About 19 minutes long, so it's on the average to shorter end of a 73 playing. And it's just one of those play-ins where as soon as we hit the jam, 3.5 minutes in, we're done with the vocals. Jerry's just off, going, exploring. He's out there. Band's following. They're doing their thing. Super tasty. Nice dynamics. We got some high intense stuff. We got some low kind of spacey stuff that verges on like Falling Apart but never does. Just a high quality, straightforward playing in the band. But the set goes opening Bertha, get some drop lyrics, but the energy is good. Me and my uncle, Jerry's Phil, sound great. Box of Rain. Phil's singing is rough. Can we just acknowledge that Phil, I'm not sure what he's doing, but I don't think it qualifies as singing. But that's part of the charm of the song, is the band's doing their best to help him out with the harmonies. By the end of the song, you don't care because it's such a fantastic song. Keith has a really nice little tasty little, I guess, solo in here, but there's like a spot where somebody's supposed to be soloing, and it looks like Keith just like, I'm going to step forward and do some stuff. Always nice to hear Keith. Deal, which is a little bit slower than your normal Deal, but it's confident, works really well. 4 songs in. Looks Like Rain. Jerry's middle solo, super patient, super emotional. Like they're playing this well as sort of the emotional core of the first set. You know, getting some Bob feels out. Tennessee Jed, great solo as always, just funky and squealing, and Jerry's doing his just squeezing it out type thing. Love it. Races On, always good to hear the Races On. China Cat, really fluid. Like when we go into the Feeling Groovy jam, the band's doing it, but Jerry's just doing his thing over it, not really addressing the fact that we're in this whole new like sort of melodic pocket of the jam. Jerry's just like, I'm just gonna play, guys. I'm comfortable. I'm going. You just do your thing. I'll be here when we all come back together on the other side of this like detour. Really good China Cat as always. Just really smooth. Jerry going off. Once we get into Writer Proper, Jerry's kind of just like, hey, can we jam a little bit longer? Can we jam a little bit longer? Just kind of pushing the energy before they slide into a Writer. Beat It On Down the Line. We got 6 beats. Dun, 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 dun. Well, this job I got. Some really nice, very funky Jerry bending. Some nice Keith playing. They love each other. Super bouncy energy. And then we get this just fully engaged, pedal to the metal, let's explore, let's go out there playing in the band. Nice ebb and flow, great Keith action. Bill and Phil sound great. There almost seems to be going at it for a little while. Jerry's just kind of all over the place. At one point, we start to slow down when Jerry does this, like, the cascade jam, I like to call it, where Jerry's playing like the same arpeggiated chord over and over, and it has this almost like tumbling, spiraling feel as the rest of the band just kind of plays chaotically, but Jerry kind of keeps it all focused on this building, spiraling chord progression that both at the same time seems to rise and fall at the same time. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Then we kind of calm down just a little bit before we jump into the reprise. Solid first set. Solid playing in the band. Solid first set. Couple flub vocals here and there, but for the most part, well played. Set 2 fits all on disc 2, or in this case, disc 6 of this box set. Promised Land, really nice Keith solo. Always cool when you get a Keith solo. Brown Eyed Women, which is a little bit slower. And I like when this song is played slower because this is set in like the Great Depression. It's probably somewhere like the Appalachian Mountains or somewhere down there. But there's this, when they slow it down, it feels like there's this dignity to the song and like the sadness of like this family trying to make ends meet and just trying to survive through like the Great Depression of here in America. Doing stuff that's possibly illegal in order to survive. The mom dies in a freak snowstorm. The dad just ain't the same afterwards. It's a sad song. And I think when they slow it down a little bit, that the emotion of the song hits a little bit harder. And it really works. Second song of this set. This second set, the 3 set shows are interesting because first set is usually more aligned with what a traditional first set would be going forward. A lot of shorter songs, maybe a couple jams. The third set is what a typical second set would be once they abandoned the third set, your exploratory stuff. I like when the second set has these more emotional songs. There's a Row Jimmy that's going to occur in a couple songs that just also just kind of feels like the spiritual centerpiece of this. And it's like right in the middle of the show, essentially, right in the middle of the set. I like these second set moments of like a little more intensity or just taking these a little more seriously. I don't know. It's a great Brown Eyed Women. Mexicali Blues. Yeah, I always like to think that maybe this is set in the same time frame as Brown Eyed Women, and that like while this is happening in the Appalachian Mountains, some other dude's just trying to like go down to Mexico and trying to make things happen there in these struggling times. And there were probably lots of Brown Eyed Women in Mexico. Row Jimmy works really, really well in the second set. Jerry's given it some nice vocal oomph. Jack Straw sounds steady, sounds calm, sounds confident. Big Railroad Blues. Jerry seems to be bringing some Chuck Berry rock energy into that solo, just really kind of pushing it and really works great. Greatest Story Ever Told. Awesome, just straight up super rocking, but like a nice psych element in the solo. Energy is good. Jerry's bringing the energy. Not really pushing the boundaries, but like rocking hard and being high energy and just delivering. And then we get a fantastic Here Comes Sunshine. The intro to this is almost like plucking raindrops on like a tin roof. There's like a delicate nature to the opening that is beautiful. And then the first part of the solo section is pretty standard, but the second part, Jerry's really pushing that energy and really kind of like almost getting kind of funky and really almost trying to extend the jam longer than normal before they go into the closing verses. And then after they do the closing verses, there's another closing jam. Like Jerry is in full on jamming mode. Absolutely wonderful. I think every Here Comes Sunshine is worth hearing. We then get a Big River, a Loser that is a solo that's too short, an El Paso, and then a Casey Jones to close out the second set and the second disc. And then disc 3 contains the entirety of set 3, which is your typical 73 third set. Played well, but nothing really surprising as far as what goes down. Even really pretty in line with the other shows that have been released from this series. You get a truckin', essentially a 20-minute truckin', but they break it into a truckin' jam, roughly 10 minutes each, though that jam is essentially just truckin'. We get another one, though we get a little drums before the other one. Eyes of the World, a Stella Blue, a Sugar Mag, then a Johnny Be Good as an encore. The truckin' is great, good energy in the truckin'. We get about a 3 to 4 minute jam before we slide into the quote unquote jam. That's a separate track. That 3 to 4 minutes afterwards is your typical Truck and Energy, just kind of straightforward rock. Jerry is really pushing it, really going hard. Once we sort of switch gears into the next quote unquote jam, it's when Phil starts to step forward and really kind of exert himself a little bit. And then Jerry breaks out the slide and does a "Nobody's Fault But Mine" quote. So we get a little bit, almost like a verse of messing around with like a "Nobody's Fault But Mine" before that kind of goes off on its own. We get moments where like it feels like things are going to fall apart and we're going to go into this more spacey thing. But then Jerry kind of puts on the boosters and just like shoots forward through like the impending chaos, just absolutely just like going at it, while the rest of the band is kind of like not really committed to an idea, but kind of floating around, experimenting a little bit. Then Bob starts getting super, really active. And then the energy does kind of dissipate a little bit. It almost feels like it's twilight, like the sun's about to go down and we're like the busyness of the day is over, but like the busyness of the night has yet to start, and it's this weird middle period. And Jerry's the only one that's kind of active, like he's the guy keeping things going at this point. And then night happens, and at that point, like we're back to full energy. There's a bounce to the music. We start to get a little bit of a dun 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 as we tease the other one. Phil tries a couple runs, like getting ready for the bomb, and then we get drums. Billy gets a couple minutes to solo. Then we're right into the other one and we're off. We're just full on jamming. Jerry's pushing the pedal to the metal. We get a really nice pre-vocal jam. We get the first verse, really nice first verse. And as soon as the vocals are over, Jerry kind of just downshifts into this really kind of low, muted, kind of like almost like he's trying to go undercover, but it's really sinister and really kind of like the darker edge of the other one jam. Kind of that scary psych energy. And the band's kind of bringing it down with him. And there's this almost like calm before the storm or eye of the hurricane type energy where like, you know, there was chaos behind us. You're going to assume there's chaos in front of us. And there's this odd sense of comfort that you know is not going to last. It's kind of just really, really, really calm, except for Jerry, who's just that, like still that high wind that's blowing through the sunny pocket. Then Jerry just starts like getting super psyche and starts strumming all like crazy and really pushing the energy, like madness is about to envelop, and then things kind of just fall apart. And out of this sort of chaos that never really forms but threatens to do something, Eyes of the World just kind of emerges. And it's a little bit timid, like it really can't withstand the forces of the other one. Like the gale winds are too strong. So there's something a little bit timid about the Eyes of the World. And we don't get an opening jam. And like Jerry almost immediately starts the vocals like, no, we got to get this going now or it's going to fall apart. And then once we get in there, the two solo sections, Jerry's just forcing it. He's engaged. He's pushing the energy. The jam at the end is super high. Keith is really involved, dropping some really nice runs. When we get to the Stronger Than Dirt jam, all those little breaks between the written parts, Keith has got these really nice, tasty fills that are just making things interesting. It's one of the shorter Eyes of the World from 73. I mean, it's barely 12 minutes. So we don't really get an extended jam before Stronger Than Dirt. We don't get an extended jam after Stronger Than Dirt. But everything we get is no nonsense, focused, not a note wasted. Just the band is just like honed in and killing it. That eases into a Stella Blue. Really nice, just emotional Jerry solo. Really nice Keith support. Sugar Mag to close out, and then a Johnny Be Good for an encore. A solid listen, a really good show. Fun first set. Second set, I think, brings a little more emotional resonance with some of the song selections, or a little more depth to it. Like you're in your feels a little bit more in the second set. And then the third set, that Truckin' Jam is super interesting. The Play and Jam is super interesting from the first set. Truckin' Jam is interesting. The other one has some high energy. The Eyes of the World is focused. But it is a pretty Reader's Digest type standard show for the Dead. I enjoy it. I like it. So when you see where I rank it, that is not a comment on this show as much as it is a comment on every other show on this tour that I've already listened to, because these are all fantastic shows. 73 was a banner year. That being said, it's right there. I have it ranked And number 15, it is last. I'm not going to say it's my least enjoyable because I enjoy it. I just think the other ones are better, right? Picking my words carefully. And number 1, the one that's at 14, that's got arguably the best Here Comes Sunshine ever. And so I think one of the more interesting moments on this is the Here Comes Sunshine, but it's much shorter. It's just a little more aggressive in the second half, where that one from Dick's Picks 1 is just like jaw-dropping perfect. Both of these have a really solid exploratory but straightforward playing in the band. So yeah, that Here Comes going to notch 14 up to 14 and put this one down at 15. But it's not a bad listen. Not a bad listen at all. The other stuff is just amazing. Amazing-er. All right, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Do those things. Thanks for watching. Go listen to some Dead. Make your life better. Peace. Talk to you later.